Hello, so today I'm going to do a mini over analysis of The Mask You Live In for 1 minute 30 to 2 minutes. The Mask You Live In is a documentary produced in 2015 and directed by Jennifer Siebel Newsom. The documentary explores the effects of degradable words on men, and Newsom is critical of how men influence other men to not express their emotions. So to begin with, at 1 minute 35 seconds mark, there's a boy that happens to be in a kindergarten setting, and Newsom uses a close-up shot of the boy to isolate the background and focus on the details of the boy's face and facial expressions. This is evident because the background is blurred and there's a clear contrast of the boy's face and facial expressions. So through the use of Newsom using a close-up shot of the boy, it allows the audience to capture a glimpse of the boy's facial expressions, which happens to be sad, empty, depressed, and emotionless. In addition to that, there's an audio of a man telling the boy, "Stop crying," which is a contrast between what's being heard and what's being shown. Furthermore, although "Stop crying" is a microaggression, it demonstrates how early boys and men are introduced and influenced to degrade each other with negative and toxic masculinity traits, which in return causes them to close up and not express themselves the way they want to and to the full extent. Through the use of close-up shots and sound effects, Newsom forces the audience to create an emotional, sympathetic connection for those who are unfortunate to go through this experience. Following that, in 1 minute 51 seconds mark, there's an Asian firefighter, and through the use of Newsom using a new race and ethnicity, it demonstrates and illustrates how toxic masculinity being passed around from men to men isn't just bound in one specific group, rather than the whole population of men in various ages and race. Furthermore, in the audio background, you can hear a man saying "grow some balls" with an increase of intensity and tone. It demonstrates how men can still face microaggressions even later on in their life, and how these aggressions become more aggressive, especially when we compare what's being said to the boy and what is being said to the Asian firefighter. Lastly, at 1 minute 53, there's an old black businessman, and the use of the old black businessman connects back to what I just said about how the cycle of men degrading each other is barred in one specific group. But what's interesting is that in the audio background, you can hear a man viciously yelling, "Man up," and it illustrates how toxic masculinity can become in today's society. And through the use of close-up shots and sound effect, Newsom prompts the audience to have a more emotional connection, which will cause a more personal response from the audience to change the stereotype of what being a man is. In addition, you can see how men influence others to not express their emotion in other parts of the documentary. For example, at 31 minutes and 6 seconds mark, Newsom uses close-up shot again to direct the audience to focus on the interviewee's facial expressions as he addresses his concerns about being peer pressured into drinking and doing drugs in order not to feel out of place, which is another form of men negatively influencing each other. Another example is at 41 seconds mark. There's an image of a man raising his hand at a boy, which shows superiority and who has power, who's vulnerable to being bullied or bullied. To conclude, through the use of close-up shots and various boys and men and sound effects, it illustrates the effect of degradable words men, and how Newsom is critical of how men influence other men to not express their emotions.